question for you. Is marriage overrated?
Why aren't people getting married anymore?
A new Pew Research poll found that 2 in 5 young adults think marriage is an outdated tradition.
Marriage rates are at their lowest right now.
Is marriage really even worth it?
More than half of marriages end in divorce.
If you get married, you have to be stuck with this person for the rest of your life, right? That's why you get married. So that's why it's declining. Why would you get married if you want to have just one partner when you can have multiple?
Marriage is stupid.
Welcome to the Married AF podcast, the self-proclaimed greatest marriage and relationship podcast in the world. My name is Matthew Powers, alongside my beautiful wife, Monica. We are your hosts for the show, baby. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? The Joey Tribbiani. How you doing? You know exactly what that means. You have no lipstick in your teeth whatsoever.
Yay.
I love your lipstick, though. How you doing? Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. I got a quick question before we dive into everything, because this is the meat and the heart of the show. Is your relationship worth saving?
Duh.
53% of people do not know if that is a duh answer or not. And that is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, thank you everyone who is here, who is watching. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, you need to. You're really missing out on all the stuff. If you aren't, you can watch us. You can see everything that happens here. That's what you were
Brain
doing.
fart.
It happens. But thank you everyone who is here, who watches, who listens. Leave us a review, like it, share it with someone, subscribe. If this helps you, maybe it could help somebody else. Let someone else know about it. Share it with people. It's amazing what is happening, the reach that it has. God, we are thankful for it. And we just want to try and have people have the same relationship experiences that we've had. They're not always sunshine and rainbows, but man, they are worth it.
Yes. 100%, not 53%.
Not 53%. No, not whatsoever. And as always, thank you to our friends at kingdomandwill.com. The best clothes, so comfortable, faith-based company, not too far away from us. Check them out. They have great stuff. Clothes, shirts, long sleeve, hoodies, sweatshirts, sweatpants, hats, bracelets, you name it, they got it. It is great stuff. Check them out, kingdomandwill.com. It's great material. It doesn't shrink when you wash it and dry it. It doesn't fade whatsoever. It's comfortable. You can wear it any place. Let people know you are on fire for Jesus, about your faith. Open up conversations for other people, but load up that cart, because loading up the cart's a ton of fun. But when you do, enter promo code MarriedAF, 15% off all your order and every order that you have, 15% off at kingdomandwill.com. So, baby.
Yep.
Is your relationship worth saving?
Duh.
Absolutely it is. But here was a poll that was done recently that found that 53% of all people who are in a serious, committed relationship, whether that is someone who you are right there with, you're not married yet, you're not engaged yet, but it's a serious relationship, people who are engaged, people who are married, what we have learned is 53% of those people have a constant question to themselves. Is my current relationship worth saving? What are your thoughts about that?
They're concerned about their current relationship.
More than half are saying, is this worth it?
Because they're too worried and interested about the one they have on deck. They don't have relationship. If they are worried that their relationship is worth saving, they're not in a relationship. They're in a situationship. They're too worried about who is on deck and who's in the hole.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. You did that on purpose.
No, I'm seriously thinking baseball terms and not being perverted right now.
The DOD? That dong
yes,
on
dong on deck. They're worried about the dong on deck.
Dong on deck sometimes. No, you're right. If you are thinking this way, I really need to ask yourself this question. How serious is this relationship really? If you are looking for another relationship or wondering, what else might be out there? Why do people feel that way?
Because they don't have joy. They only have happiness.
And happiness is fleeting. It does not last. Joy is something that lasts forever.
Happiness is something you're always going to be chasing because you're never going to keep it.
You're exactly right. You're not. You're going to grab it for a minute. And man, going after and getting that dong on deck, it's going to feel great for a minute. And you're going to love it for maybe a month.
But then you're going to need to get another one.
But then you're going to need to find another one. You're going to need more because you're saying, that was great. That was fun. That was exciting. But it's not filling the need that I currently have.
No, and the best way I can give a picture of what it's like is when you put gas in your car and you fill it all the way up. You can only drive so far until you have to fill it up again.
You're correct.
And when you have to fill it up again, you're going to go until you have to fill it up again.
Yes, you do not have an endless supply that just you never have to
which
fill
is
up
happiness.
Again. It is. You're totally right.
But when you have joy, you don't have to worry about what tank is going to run on empty.
No, you're exactly right. Well, it all goes back to John chapter 4 and Jesus and the woman at the well. And that's the whole idea and the whole purpose of the woman at the well. Where, and if you don't know this story, it's the longest recorded conversation that Jesus has with anybody in the Bible.
You're not even supposed to talk to women of different races.
I was going to say, in this time and in this culture, men and women, were not necessarily supposed to speak to each other. But Jesus being of Jewish descent and this being a Samaritan woman from Samaria, they hated each other. Like, Jewish people would not go through Samaria. They would go the dangerous long way
around,
just so they wouldn't have to deal with the people. It was just like, nah, bro, we got a place we got to go. And he stopped at this well while the disciples, they went out and they were looking for food, doing whatever they were doing. And this woman comes and she's getting water from the well. Now, another thing to note of this is that this was a community thing. When women would go draw water from the well, they would usually do it in groups. They would do it together. They'd go early in the morning. She had to go later in the day because she was looked at as less than by her whole community. And we learn throughout that story why that is. So she's getting water and Jesus says, hey, can I have some of your water? I'm thirsty. And she's like, well, you don't have anything to drink out of. You didn't bring anything. I can't help you. And it eventually goes on to say, hey, the water that I will give you, you will never have to thirst again. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's saying, I have the living water. And what he is saying is, hey, you couple always be full with me. You will always have joy with me. You will not have this fleeting emptiness of happiness that you have to come back to the well day after day after day after day again to keep filling that cup because I am here. And eventually lets her know, hey, I'm the Messiah. And he does this by saying, hey, why don't you go tell your husband about this? And that's where we learn that, hey, she's not liked by anyone because she's had 5 of those jokers and she's hooked up with some dude now who isn't her husband. And Jesus lets us be known. And she's like, oh my God, you got to be a prophet. He's like, no.
I'm not a prophet.
I am the Messiah. And he's using this woman who is seen by less than one to say, hey, I'm here for everybody, no matter how screwed up you are. But the whole point of it is, I am more than enough than the things that you need of this world.
My cup runneth over.
So that's the perfect example of happiness versus joy. Now, when it comes to your relationship, if you're just seeking happiness, you're going to fall short and you're going to miss out on it because, especially if you're married, this is the single most important relationship that you have on earth.
Absolutely.
Period. Like, you come second in my life.
Absolutely.
And you know that. But
and the moment I don't,
we got problems.
I'll smack you up.
We got problems. But
knock some sense into you.
And you most certainly have the right to do that. But this is the most important relationship. So for you to question, hey, is this worth saving? Man, that raises some red flags. And where I think that this typically comes from is people are always looking for the next best thing. Like you said, the DOD. They're looking for the next person, the next relationship, that situationship, because they're looking at their current situation. We talked about it a few episodes ago. They're looking at their current situation and thinking, man, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Man, this isn't as exciting as it's portrayed on Instagram. This isn't, he is not the man of my dreams who does all of these things for me. He's got to work and make a living and
heaven forbid.
He's not fulfilling these needs. And it goes both ways for men. But I think the problem is you're looking for the grass being greener and you're looking over the neighbor's fence thinking, the grass, his grass is much better. His lawn's well taken care of.
Different.
I need to try something different because we think the grass is always greener on the other side. But when we think that, what we typically find out is we need to take care of our own lawn first, because it's not necessarily
Better get you a sprinkler.
greener, and you have to stop looking for validation from other people, because that's exactly where this is totally coming from. So to answer the question, is my relationship worth saving? Heck yeah, it is.
Yes.
It should be. Now,
Yeah, there might be some,
I'll be the first to
there's
say
a loophole for just about everything.
I will say there are probably some relationships that aren't worth saving, especially men or women. But if you're in any type of abusive relationship, we're not saying you stay in the relationship no matter what. If you're being abused physically, mentally, emotionally, however, no.
That's
Now,
not okay.
I fully believe anyone can change. When we find Jesus, anybody can change.
We are living proof.
There's millions of examples of that happening. But if they are unwilling to seek help, if they're unwilling to turn from their old ways, if they're unwilling to change in any way that's better for you and better for the relationship, then yeah, you need to get out of the relationship. Even if you are married, and God hates divorce, and he only really gives one reason why you can divorce, and that's infidelity. But if you are in an abusive relationship and that person is not going to change and it continues to happen, your safety is key.
Yes.
And it's a major concern. You have to get out of it. Yeah. Grass is probably greener somewhere else if he's beating on you every night.
Yeah.
And men, if she is constantly verbally abusive to you, and those are things to look out for and reasons to get out of.
I mean, don't think by any means that men don't get beat in relationships too. Because it happens.
It does. So
They just have the restraint to hold back and not do anything about it. Because they were probably raised right, don't hit a woman.
Yeah, never.
Unlike children today.
Well, you see this in the school.
Pisses me off. I get so mad. Why are you laying hands on a girl? She hit me first. Touch her again.
Yeah, don't.
There is no fear of God in anyone anymore.
No, there's not.
And it makes me mad. So if they're not afraid of God, they sure as hell better be scared of me.
Yeah, you don't put your hands on a woman. Now, to defend yourself in a way, but you're not retaliating in any ways. You can grab, you can hold,
restrain,
but you don't provoke whatsoever. That's never okay. But I agree, it's a horrible thing to see. So if you are contemplating, hey, is my marriage worth saving? I think you need to ask yourself some serious questions.
What are the questions?
What caused you to get to this point?
Why are you thinking like this?
What are the things that happened? What are the events that transpired over the last however long, 6 months, year, last few years, that has caused you to get to this point? And really be able to answer those questions of not what caused you, but typically I think what people are going to find is at some point things got a little stale. And we just kind of went through the motions.
The honeymoon phase ended.
We wake up, we get ready.
Do the same things over.
We go to work.
It's tedious. It's monotonous.
We come home, we eat dinner, we go to bed, and we wake up and we do that every single day. And that gets
so boring.
Where's the excitement and all of that?
Have we always lived like this? I don't remember ever doing anything fun. I just think of Eeyore. Totally think of Eeyore. But so what caused you to get to this point? Why did things get stale? How did this happen? When did you notice this happening? And kind of go back and say, all right, what were those top things? Don't just look at it as I'm unhappy and they got to go. I got to find someone else because that other person's going to make me happy. Chances are that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Chances are if you did this and you found that new person, you're going to go through the exact same thing you just went through, and it's going to be just a nasty cycle that goes over and over and over again. And guess what? You're never going to find that it's a you problem.
You don't want to find that it's a you problem.
No one wants to take claim over themselves being a problem now.
And that's the difficult part of this is when you ask, okay, what caused me to get to this point? We're typically going to point the finger at the other person.
Oh, absolutely.
And say, well, they don't do this, and he doesn't do this, and he doesn't treat me like this, and she acts like this, and she doesn't give me this, and I'm not getting what I need. And we're just listing all these things that they aren't doing. But how often can we look ourselves in the mirror, turn the finger back on ourselves and say, okay, how did I contribute to this problem? How did I contribute to us getting to where we are?
Now would probably be a great time for us to say, hey, if this is you, we do marriage counseling.
Absolutely, it would be.
And I know that's what I was looking up to see if our statistics of locations, like where, it's still New York, Los Angeles, San Jose, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, Arizona are our top listeners. So thank you. So obviously we can't be in New York all the time because we live in Alabama. And I'm starting to think that they just like us because of our accent. And that's fine too.
That's cool.
Sure. Maybe what we say you can get something out of. But there's nothing that a FaceTime, Zoom call, Google Meets,
plenty of technology
would not keep us from being able to do that wherever you are located.
No, I totally agree. No, that is a great point. No, if this is you, this is something that we can definitely help with, and we're willing to do that.
This is why we have the podcast.
It is the whole reason why. So
we are very passionate about relationships, and the most important relationship that you have on this earth with another human is your spouse.
It is, and it's got to be something that you. I hate to use the word work, but you do have to put in the effort with it. So yeah, if you're thinking this and like, well, we've tried counseling before. Well,
we did this, we did that,
and then
you didn't do it in the way it should have been done.
Well, and secondly, in my experience, usually when you go to couples counseling, one of the two parties doesn't want to be there, and they're not putting the effort in.
They're dragged.
They're there because
fighting.
They have to be. And this is the so-called last-ditch effort. And they're just like, let me get through this and whatever. But if both parties come into a counseling session or sessions, it takes more than one, come into it and they're both willing to work. They're both willing to peel back the layers. They're both willing to have open dialogue and open conversation. And they're willing to admit their own faults and say, all right, maybe this is where I screwed up. Or to take constructive criticism
in
where
a
they are falling short.
judgment-free zone.
And if you're willing to do all that, it's amazing what can come out of that. I mean, you can see true reconciliation, true forgiveness, and see you come out of this stronger than you could have ever possibly even thought. So I agree. If this is you, we're happy to at least have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And if that's you, just reach out to us. Find us on the social medias. Let us know.
Just send us a message.
Send us a message. Let us know. We'll be happy to
find it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll find it. We'll be happy to help because that's the other half of it is, okay,
I think our stuff's on the website too, though.
It is. So just find a way to reach out to us. We'll be happy to at least have a conversation about it because this is, like you said, it's the most important relationship, not just for you because it affects both of you so deeply, not just as together, but as individuals. But you also have to think about when you are thinking this way, who all else does this actually impact? I mean, if you have kids, it impacts those kids tremendously. It impacts your friends, your family, your coworkers. It does impact your career.
It does because, think about your friends. If you decide, okay, this is not worth saving and you get a divorce. If you have friends that are friends with both of you, those friends have to pick. I don't know why that's a thing.
But they do.
But they have to because you want them. And the other person wants them to be their friends, but they can't be friends with both of you because they were friends with both of you to begin with. So they're going to pick the one that was the reason why you all became friends in the first place. Kids have to choose which parents they're going to live with if they're the age where they can choose.
They do. And actually,
they got to split your weekends.
I took a
grandparents.
And you hate to see that, but I through this study, there was a part about this and who it impacts in kids. And what this study found was because, people think kids they just don't get it. They don't understand. But they're a lot more observant than you think. The study showed that kids would prefer a broken home where the parents did split up over an unhappy home.
Wow.
And think about that. And we see in our country today, especially, what a broken home does to kids. I mean, the stats don't lie. When a father figure is not there, it's exponential exponentially worse for that child and them having trouble, not just with learning, but having discipline problems, their development. It's important for both the mom and the dad to be in the home together, in a happy home together, to raise children together, and the benefits that it has for children is so huge.
Yeah.
I mean, God created it. He designed it this way. I know we've decided that, hey, we've got a better way of doing it. We don't need your plan in all of this. We got a better way to do it. We're going to be separated. We're going to have our own things. We're going to hook up with whoever wants to. The kids will be fine. When we went outside of his plan, we screwed it all up.
Well, now I'm finding those parents that do have children and they're the single mom type of homes. If there's something going on at school and these children are athletes, they do not care if you call parents. Dad's not going to answer anyways. Mom, she's not going to deal with it because she's too busy working 2 jobs and taking care of all the kids. These kids are now more worried about you telling their coach than their parents.
Because that coach has stepped in as a father figure or a parental figure, a mother figure.
It's sad.
That's horrible. Because that's not how it's supposed to be. And thank the Lord for coaches and for teachers who are in the schools and spend so much time with the students and who have taken, because there's not many of them, but there are coaches and teachers who take kids under their wing and almost parent them. And not in the way, not in a negative way to push agendas or anything, but just in a loving, hey, I recognize that this kid is missing a whole lot at home. And I recognize that this kid doesn't have the love at home that they really need. So I'm going to give that to them. It may not be in the capacity that they ultimately need, but this is the best I can offer, and it's more than they're currently getting.
Absolutely.
And, without coaches and everything, it's just imagine what it would do, because they take them in and they do so much for them. So listen, if this is you, one of the biggest things to understand, because this is what happens, don't let your emotions drive your decisions. Feelings-based decisions never work out.
Ever.
I mean, the Bible teaches us. I know, people.
Heart's the most deceitful thing.
The most deceitful. Everyone says, "I'll just go with your heart. Let your heart lead you." Don't do that.
Live your
deceitful.
truth.
The heart will mess you up in a heartbeat. So quickly will it mess you up. Because you're thinking, because I feel a certain way, I got to do this and I got to act on it this way. Or because someone said something, well, now I have to do this and this is how I feel about it. No one cares how you feel. The feeling is the feeling, and yeah, it can be justified and it can be how you feel, but you don't need to act on that decision whatsoever. I mean, it's going to end poorly if you act on that decision. It's not the way that you want to go whatsoever. So don't let your emotions drive your decisions at all.
No, and most of the time when you do follow your feelings and your feelings get hurt, they probably need to be hurt.
Most of
for
the time.
you to be able to make a right decision.
Because things are going to be called out in you, and if you're mature enough, you'll take that. And yeah, you may be pissed off for a minute. It may take a few days, but you will eventually get to the point like, you know what, they were right.
It might taste bitter coming out of your mouth.
Oh, you absolutely hate everything about it, but you're like, yeah, you know what, they were right about that. And I got some things that I need to change. And this is why it's important.
Making a rational decision with your brain, and not your heart or feelings.
Yes. And to be able to have the people in your life, be able to have those close friends who you do life with, who will call you out and who aren't afraid to say, hey, this may hurt the friendship for a week or two. You may hate my guts for a little while, but this is the best thing for you. And because I love you, I'm not going to let you go down this path.
Yep.
Instead, I'm going to let you know, hey, you're being a complete jerk right now. Hey, you're headed down a path that's not good for you. I'm going to let you know about it. I'm going to let you know what a bad decision this is. And you need to freaking stop it, turn around and stop doing this. You're better than this. And yeah, you're going to be mad at them, but because they love you and they would rather see you not go down this path than what the friendship is. I don't want to say anything that may make them. No, that's not what it's all about. Let them know, hey, you screwed up. You're awful. And you realize like, oh man, okay, fine. And then once you can kind of ask yourself those questions and you realize that, be able to have that conversation with your spouse that is open, and you're able to bring up and recognize all right, this is what I see, this is what I felt, but this is how I contributed to it. This was my part to play.
It's a hard thing to do, but it needs to be done, or it has to be done.
Otherwise, you're not gonna make it.
Otherwise, 100% of that 53% will end the relationship.
Every time. And it may be prolonged a little bit, but until you really have that conversation, say, okay, these are the mistakes I brought to the table. These are the ones you brought to the table. We need to work on these together and work these out. And that's how you get over this. Don't be a part of this 53% who's thinking, ooh, would it be better? Is this actually worth saving?
Yeah.
And one other thing I just want to touch on real quick is because some of this can be regards to what we said earlier, that dong on deck looking for someone who's a little bit better, who's a little more attractive. What's the sex going to be like? Because sex drives, it's emotional decisions, and it drives that. And we say, ooh, that person looks good. Ooh, I think I'd like to hook up with them. And it's that, let me get this little piece of happiness. Let me get this little piece and I'll be okay. But when we really look at it and you really see, okay, attractiveness and sex, who is really out there that's going to be involved? I mean, if you really looked at the options out there, the ones you probably want to go after are probably unattainable. The ones you want to go after, probably already attached and probably married. Mm-hmm. That's never going to happen. So
hopefully
not. What pool are you really going to be drawing from? And is that really going to be worth it?
Gut check to see what level you are on.
Yeah.
You might have high standards, but sweetheart, they're not attainable.
No, because if you're,
you might think you have the power of the puseta.
Which women do.
It's a thing.
But if you're going after that guy who has everything together and he's stable and he has a great job and he makes good money and he's got everything you're desiring and looking for, guess what?
He ain't looking for you.
No, he's married. He's got kids. He's got a wife. He's got a family.
And that's why he's got it all together.
And they are way more important than that stuff that you
side hustle's gonna
it ain't gonna do
make him want to lose what he has.
I mean, ultimately, just look at what the options are, and are those options worth everything that I currently have?
Just at one time that you have sex with him,
it's not.
Is it gonna be worth ruining your relationship?
1,000% of the time, nope.
Doesn't matter who it is.
No, it's not. And we will say things like, well, I haven't been able to have these experiences, and I haven't been able to have that, and I've got a wild side that I just need cured, and I haven't had this, and we take after the experience rather than the hope of what is out there and what it can be with my current situation with my current spouse. It's not worth it.
Nope.
Not worth it at all. So, to answer the question, is your relationship worth saving? As long as it's not abusive, absolutely it is.
I'm just proud of the other 47%.
Yes, very proud.
That's not questioning.
It's not questioning it at all. And realistically, that should be way, way, way higher. And if this is you, if you are struggling, listen, we said it. Reach out to us. We'll talk to you. At least have a single conversation. Just to kind of talk through, okay, if you were to consider this is what it really, really looks like. And you married this person for a reason. There were great qualities there. So yeah, let's make sure you remember that. Let's reflect on that. Bring that back to the surface.
That makes me think of, hold on, couples retreat.
Okay.
At the end where I can't remember his name in the movie. Shane sees his wife, Jennifer.
Yes.
That's it.
Because he was there with Trudy.
Because he was with Trudy. Bang, bang, pow, pow.
That's right.
So he went out in the pool and found someone like 20 years younger than him. Couldn't keep up. Couldn't keep her satisfied.
Seemed great
because he's like, oh my God, I just pulled somebody 20 years younger than me. And in reality, he misses his wife.
Yeah. All he wanted was his wife.
And sometimes that's the seeing the grass on the other side is greener. Let me go find out. Get some sprinklers, bro. You need to water your own grass.
Yeah, and I would be willing to say the people who have decided, you know what, yeah, I do want to see what's out there. I do want to end it with my spouse. If you polled those people, I would say an extreme high majority would say it wasn't worth it. I thought it was, but it wasn't worth it.
And when they realized that it wasn't worth it, it was too late to be fixing the things that needed to be worked on, because they have moved on and found someone who's actually doing the things that you wouldn't.
Who actually appreciates them and loves them for them and wants that to build that life that you were supposed to build with them. So, any final thoughts?
I love you.
I love you. I am of the 47%.
Well, I'm glad you're in the 47.
I'm in the 47%. Let's get out of here. Lord, we love you. We are so thankful for what you're doing. We're thankful for this platform. And God, is your relationship worth saving? It's a resounding yes. And God, we just pray that if anyone gets anything out of this, that's what they will know, that their relationship is worth saving. And ultimately, everything points to you. You designed relationships. You designed marriage. You designed the family. You know how it's supposed to go. And God, we just pray this will point people to you, to find you and follow the way that you've designed it, so they can learn what it is to have a marriage that you created. It's the greatest thing that we could ever possibly have, and we are thankful for it. Lord, we love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Play ball.